Holding on page 146, the very first words on the page, V'gam misham.
Yes.
So in the past year we explained how there's the Shechina. The Shechina contains within it all the energy which is intended for all of creation, to give chayis and to give sustenance and energy to all of creation. But the Shechina itself, as we explained, is too powerful to be able to
be contained
by the world. So it needs a lavush, it needs a garment that contain it and can hide its oir, and through this garment the energy enters all the worlds. What is that garment? So we explained that garment is the Torah. The Torah can contain the Shechina because essentially the Torah is Chachmasei Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the wisdom of Hashem, which transcends the worlds. So on the one hand, Torah can contain the Shechina, the light of the Shechina. But on the other hand, because the Torah is dressed up in the concepts of every single world, the Torah enters the world on its level. The Torah is compared to mayim, it's like water, which when it comes down into a world, it enters it, so to say, on its terms, and addresses it on its terms. So therefore the Torah is able to take that light, distill that light, the oir of the Shechina, and therefore all of the world receives the energy from the Torah. And as we discussed, in every single world, there is the Chabad of that world, which means the Torah of that world. And in every single world, the Shechina enters the world through the Torah of that world, the Chabad of that world, the Torah of that world, which is also known as the Kachei Kadashim of that world. So every single world has a Kachei Kadashim. Just like there's a Kodesh HaKadashim over here in this world, which is a physical place, every world has a Kachei Kadashim. And that is the Chabad of the world, which is the Torah of that world. And that's where the Shechina enters, and through that, the world receives all its energy.
That's Yerushalayim, you say. Yerushalayim is the distribution point.
The Kodesh HaKadashim. Yeah, and then it goes.
That's the focal point.
Yeah, and then it spreads. It goes, in concentric circles. It starts with Kodesh HaKadashim, the Beis HaMikdash, the Har HaBayis, Yerushalayim, etc. Okay. So now what we are going to do today is we're going to talk about what is this Torah which is in every single world, and we're going to see that in general, and we'll do this first a little outside, then we'll do it inside, that there are three different levels in Torah. And these three levels of Torah correspond to the worlds of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. So you have the Shechina, which is Malchus Da'atzilus. So the first thing is, it enters the world of Bria through the Torah of the world of Bria. And then, as we'll see, it filters down further and enters the world of Yetzira. And the Lavush in the world of Yetzira is the Torah of the world of Yetzira. And then it goes down even further and enters the world of Asiya through the Torah of the world of Asiya. So in essence, what makes the world of Bria the world of Bria? The fact that you have Torah on a certain level, the Torah of the world of Bria, and therefore when the Shechina, when the oir enters the Torah, so the oir that comes out of there is the energy which is on the level of the world of Bria. Then the energy of the Shechina enters the Torah of the world of Yetzira, and when the energy then from that emanates from the Torah of Yetzira, which is the Shechina shining through the Torah of Yetzira, that's where everything in Yetzira comes about from. What are these three levels in Torah? So the Gemara says in Masechtas Kedushin that a person la'elam yishalish adam talmudei, that a person should always divide his Torah into thirds. Shlish b'mikra, shlish b'mishnah, and shlish b'talmud. The person should learn a third mikra, which is the Chav Dalet Sfarim of the Torah, 24 Sfarim of Tanakh, and a shlish in mishnah. Mishnah means halacha, and a shlish, a third, should be spent learning Talmud. Okay. To look in Shulchan Aruch and Hilchos Talmud Torah about the exact ramifications of what this means, and it's not necessarily for a person's entire life, but al kapanim, that's what the Gemara says. And the reason why is because these three, Mikra, Mishnah, and Talmud, represents the Torah of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. By the way, that's also the Seder, that a person starts off with Mikra, then Chamesh Mikra, that's the Torah of the world of Asiya. And then you move up higher, and then Eser Mishnah, which that's the Torah of the world of Yitzira. And then when Chamesh Asri, when a person reaches 15, that's when they start learning Gemara, Talmud, which that is the Torah of the world of Bria. What's the connection between Talmud, Mishnah, and Mikra with the worlds of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya? So as we've already learned in Tanya several times in several different places, the worlds of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya, it's not only that one is higher than the other. They have a different nature. Each one of them is a different type of world. You have, in the world of Bria, what is Meir over there? What is dominant in the world of Bria? So it's brought down in Tikkun Zayar that Hashem's Bina, the Bina of Atzilus, in other words, in Atzilus we know there's all 10 spheres. Chachma, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes. But nevertheless, in Atzilus, the sphere that is dominant is Chachma. Chachma, which is absolute bittul, Chachma, which is beyond comprehension. Koyach ma, a koyach of something which is beyond. Bittul to Hashem. In fact, that's all of the spheres in the world of Atzilus are like subsets of Chachma. So for example, like last night was Hoid Shebehoid, and the night before it was Netzach Shebehoid. So Netzach Shebehoid means that we have Netzach as it is a subset in the larger Sphira of Hoid. So the dominant Sphira in Atzilus is Chachma. So everything in Atzilus is subsets of Chachma, expressions of Chachma. In Bina, what is dominant? In the world of Bria, what is dominant is the Sphira of Bina, comprehension, moichen, understanding. That is the Sphira that is dominant in Bria. So really, Bina of Atzilus, that's what it says in Tikkun Ezer. Bina of Atzilus, which is in Kabbalistic language called Ema Ilah, the supernal mother, because Bina is Ema Banim Smecha, Bina is called the mother. So the Ema Ilah Mekanana B'Krisaya, its nest. Where is Bina of Atzilus primarily expressed? In the world of Bria. The world of Yitzira is the world where Hashem's emotions are dominant. The 6 emotions, Chesed, Gvura, Tferes, Netzach, Choid, and Yisoid, they are meir, they illuminate in the world of Yitzira. And in the world of Asiya is where Hashem's Midah of Malchus is dominant. Midah of Malchus is Dibur, is speech, or actual function. Asiya, Malchus is action, is communication, or... So in the world of Bria, what is the Torah of the world of Bria? Is the Gemara. That's the Torah on the level of the world of Bria. Why is that? Because what is the Gemara? The Gemara is logic. The Gemara is all about reasoning. Wisdom of the Talmud. Everyone knows about the wisdom of the Talmud. And since the inyan of the Gemara, the concept behind the Gemara is the idea of Bina, which is understanding, so therefore the place of the Gemara is in the world of Bria. So Gemara is how Torah, which all of Torah originates and begins with and starts in Hashem's Chachma, in Chachma Vatzilus. But as that Chachma now comes down a level, although it still remains essentially Hashem's wisdom, but it dresses itself up now in a garment of Bina, in a garment of intellect, that's the Talmud Shalafanenu, the Gemara that we have, is from the world of Bria. So that means that when the Malchus of Atzilus, the Shechina, in order to enter the world of Bria, it enters the Chabad of Bria, which is the Gemara, the Talmud, and all of the world of Bria receives its light and life from the Talmud, from the Gemara. Then you have the Mishnah. The Mishnah is primarily about Midos, which is why there are 6 Darim of the Mishnah, and those correspond to the 6 Midos: Chesed, Gvura, Teferes, Netzach, Choid, and Yisoid. Why is that? Because what is the Mishnah is not dealing with logic. Very little. There's very little logic in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is primarily halachis. Kosher, Posel, Chayev, Zakai, Toher, Tameh, Asur, Mutter. What makes one thing kosher and one thing not kosher? What makes one thing kosher and one thing pasul? One thing osir, one thing mutter? That is because of Hashem's midas.
Oh.
If the midah of chesed is dominant, then it's kosher, then it's zakai, then it's tohir, and then it's mutter. If the midah of gevura is dominant, then you have pasul, chayav, osir, etc. So Beishamai and Beisilo, right? So when there's machlokes in Beishamai and Beisilo, Beishamai, his neshama was the neshama of Shammai and his talmidim. They were rooted in the midah of gevura, and therefore they leaned always towards being machmer. And Hillel and his talmidim, their neshamas were rooted in the chesed, and therefore they were more mekel. But essentially, what decides the halacha lepoil is Hashem's midas. If Hashem's midah of chesed is dominant, again, it'll be a positive halacha. And if Hashem's midah of gevura is dominant, then it'll be a negative one. So the Gemara is logic. Logic is somewhat abstract. Logic is not about what am I going to do actually, because logic also can tell you 20 things.
Wouldn't that be the determining fact what the halacha is going to be? So the halacha is built on the logic.
But Beishamai and Beisilo were both, Shammai and Hillel were both very wise people. It's not as if one of them had a different logic than the other. It's not as if one of them knew that, had one set of information and therefore arrived at his conclusion, and the other one had another set of information and therefore arrived at his conclusion. They both had the same information in front of them. So then what made one decide kosher and one decide pasul? It's not a logical decision.
It's psychological.
That is the logic as it's being impacted by the emotions. That Beisilo again his neshama was sourced in chesed, and Beishamai was in gevura. So again,
I get that.
You have in terms of when you look from something logically, you can always arrive at 50 different conclusions.
That's correct. Yeah.
So, but the halacha. So when the halacha is something, and the halacha means that Hashem decides in a certain way. What makes Hashem decide in a certain way? That is due to the fact that the Torah comes down into Hashem's midas, and therefore the midas, Hashem's midas, determine these halachas. So that's why the Mishnah is associated with the world of Yitzirah. And then you have the world of Asiya, which over there is Mikra. What is unique about Mikra? What's unique about Mikra, what's unique about the 24 Sfarim of the Tanakh, is that your Yetza, Limud HaTorah, even if you don't understand what you're saying. Torah Shebal Peh, if you don't understand, Lo Yada Mai Ka'amar, if a person takes out a Masechta Shabbos and starts reading and doesn't know what in the world it means, doesn't understand anything it's saying over there, he was not Yetza the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. And you can't make a Birchas HaTorah on that. On the other hand, if someone pulls out a Sefer Bamidbar, or a Sefer Heshea, or whatever it may be, even if he doesn't understand the word of what he's saying, he was Yotza. The mitzvah of Talmud Torah, he did the mitzvah, he was Mekayim the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, and you can make a Birchat Torah before it. Which is why when a person comes up for an aliyah, you don't ask the person, okay, you're about to make a bracha, shabachabanu, do you understand what it says? Let me test you. You have to have the Rav. You think you'd have to have the Rav standing by the bima. And before anyone gets up, to make sure they don't make a bracha levatala, test them on the Pirush Hamilas of that aliyah. We don't do that. Why? Because since it's mikra, so therefore you yotze the mitzvah, even if lo yada mai ka'amar. So you yotze the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. Whether you yotze because you read along with the person, the Baal Shem, or whether you yotze because Shemea Ko'ina, either way, and the person's your shliach, either way, you're Yetzer the mitzvah. So this is something which is unique by Mikra, which is that the Kedusha extends even to the words. The empty words. When I say the empty words, obviously they're not empty because they're holy. What I'm saying is, if you read Gemara or Mishnayos and they're empty words, in other words, they're devoid of any seichel, devoid of any understanding, and they're devoid of midas, so you weren't Yetzer. In order to be Yotza, there has to be a higher element in there, an element of comprehension. There has to be, and it comes to Mikra, the Kedusha permeates the actual words to the point that just saying the words, you're already Mekayim the Torah. And that's why it corresponds to the world of Asiya. Asiya means action. As opposed to the world of Bria, which is intellectual, as opposed to the world of Yitzira, which is emotional. So those are all correspond to the higher levels. Thank you very much. The world of Asiya corresponds to action, saying the words. So that means that the Kedusha comes down into the physical words of the Sefer Torah. So that's what we're going to talk about over here. The different Torah in every single world. The Torah as it comes down world to world. And as the Torah comes down from one world to the next, from the world of Yitzira to the world of Bria, from the world of Bria to the world of Yitzira, the world of Asiyam, the Shekhinah comes with it. Because again, the Torah in every world is the garment for the oil of the Shekhinah. So the Shekhinah comes down with it and it enters the Torah, and through the Torah, that entire world receives all of its chayes inside. Actually, let's go a little back. Let's turn to the previous page. Let's go 7 lines from the bottom, and we're going to read, but we're going to skip the brackets. We did the brackets last week. It says in the Zohar, it says in the Eitz Chaim. 7 lines from the bottom of page 9.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Shehashchina.
Malchus Datzilus.
She Malchus Datzilus, the Shechina, which is the level of Malchus Datzilus. He mislabeshes behechal kachi kadashim lebriya. So it enters and is enclosed by the Kodesh HaKadashim of the world of Bria, Shehu Chabad de Bria, which is the Chabad of the world of Bria. Ubi slapshusan de Malchus de Bria. Now, once this oil funnels through the world of Bria until it arrives at Malchus de Bria, so Nivru from there created Hanashamis v'Hamalachim shebebria, the Neshamis and the Malachim which occupy the world of Bria. Vigam, and also Misham from there, in other words, from Chabad of Bria, from the Chachma bin Adas of Bria, Nimshach HaTalmud Shalafanenu. From there comes the Talmud that we have. As we explained earlier in Tanya, the name of the Tikkun is there. Sheba'ilam HaBria, the world of Bria, Me'ireis u'mashpiyei sham. Over there we have, in a very revealed way, Chachmasei binasei vidaitei shel ein seiv baruch. The Chachma, Bina, and Das of the Infinite One. But it comes down, in the world of Bria, it comes down with an incredible contraction. In order that the Neshamas and the Malachim that occupy the world of Bria, they are finite, they're not infinite. The world of Atzilus is infinite. But the Malachim and the Neshamas in the world of Bria, they're finite. So there has to be this incredible Simsum. So that the Neshamas and the Malachim, they should be able to Kabbalah Hashpah, to receive their Hashpah, to receive their energy. The Bechinas Chabad Elo from this Chabad. Therefore, Nimshach Misham HaTalmud. That's why from there we get the Talmud. Shugamkin Bechinas Chabad. The Talmud also, what is the Talmud? The Talmud is intellect. Shatalmud hu taimi halachis al burian. What is the Gemara? The reasons for the halachis explained well. V'ataimim him bechinas Chabad. And the reasons for all the halachis, that is the Chabad of Hashem. V'halachis asman, as opposed to halachis themselves. We're not talking about the halachis. We're talking about the reasons behind the halachis. The halachis themselves, hey mimidoisav shalein seiv baruch. The actual psak halacha, one way or another, that comes from Hashem's midos. Shehein, which they are chesed, din rachmim, chesed, gvur rachmim, etc. Shemehem nimshach haheter va'isar. From them comes that which is permitted to do and that which is forbidden to do. Va'kasher, va'apostle, those things that are kosher, that are permitted to us. Va'apostle, and those things that are not. Va'chiu, va'pater, and that which a person is obligated to do and that which a person is absolved from. Kameshach nisbar, but Tikkunim as explained in Tikkun Yisrael. Okay. Now we're ready for the next world. Bislap shus malchus datzilus b'malchus debria. So what do we have? Ultimately, the Shechina, the Shechina, which is malchus datzilus, filters through the Torah of Bria, through the Chabad of Bria, it filters down to malchus of Yitzira. And here we have the same process is going to repeat itself again. Malchus of Bria is like the Shechina of the world of Bria. And the Malchus of Bria is going to come down into the next, just like the Shechina, which is Malchus of Atzilus, enters the Kodesh Kadashim of the world of Bria, and the Torah of Bria is the filter, and it allows the Oyer to enter the entire world. The same thing happens when you go down to the next level, which is that the that the Malchus of Bria, which contains within it the Shechina, right? The Shechina, excuse me, it comes down and enters the Chabad of the world of Yitzira. Inside it. Bislapshus Malchus Datzilos but Malchus de Bria. When Malchus Datzilos enters Malchus of Bria, Mislabeshes, then afterwards it enters Hey Behechol Kedesh Kadashim di Yitzira. It enters the Kedesh Kadashim of Yitzira. Shehu Chabad Yitzira. That is the level of Chabad of Yitzira. Ubi Slapshus and the Malchus di Yitzira. When they enter Malchus di Yitzira, so now in the Malchus Yitzira we have Malchus of Atzilus and Malchus coming through Malchus of Bria. When they enter Malchus di Yitzira, then in Yitzru, then are fashioned Haruchais v'Hamalachim shebi Yitzira, the Neshamis and the Malachim which are in the world of Yitzira. Just to note how the accuracy of the words. If you look in the last line of the previous page, when it talks about Bria, it says Nivru haneshames v'Hamalachim shebi Bria. And here it says Noitzru Haruchais v'Hamalachim shebi Yitzira. So first of all, Nivru as opposed to Noitzru, which is understood because this is the world of Bria, so therefore they're Nivru, they're created. This is the world of Yitzira, so Noitzru. And also in terms of Neshamis versus Ruchais, we know that we all have different madrigas in our Neshama, and our primary madrigas, our basic madrigas are Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Nefesh is the part of our soul which is involved in physical and motor function. That's Nefesh. Ruach is the part of the Neshama which is connected to emotions. And Neshama is the part of our soul which is connected to and in charge of, so to say, of our intellect. So therefore our Neshamas correspond to the world of Bria. Our Ruchais correspond to the world of Yitzira, because the world of Bria is the world of intellect, and the world of Yitzira corresponds to emotion. So therefore, when it comes to the world of Bria, we talk about the creation of the Neshamas. And when it comes to the world of Yitzira, we talk about the fashioning of the Ruchais, not the Neshamas, but the Ruach, which is the Madrega of Ruach, which is the Madrega of Midas. Weiter. V'gam Meshaman, also from the Chabad of the world of Yitzira, hi ha-Mishnah shel lefanenu, also that is the source of the Mishnah that we have. She halachis psukais. The Mishnah is the halacha, is not the reasons for the halachas, but the actual psak halacha. Hanamshach is gamkin mechabad shel Yitzhak Baruch Hu. Make no mistake about it. Everything ultimately comes from the Chachma of Atzilus, the infinite Chachma of Hashem. Rak only shebechinas Chabad sheim tami halachas. The Chabad, which is the reasons, him lubashim ugnuzim, in the Mishnah, the reasoning are enclosed in and hidden begufei halachas, in the body of halachas. In the Mishnah, you don't have revealed the reasoning. What you have revealed in the Mishnah is v'gufei halachas, the actual halachas, the body of the halachas. Shehein bebechinas gilui, that is revealed in the Mishnah. And hein, they are ha'aras mideisav shel ein seif baruch hu bebechinas gilui. The halachas, they radiate from Hashem's midas, from Hashem's emotions. Commission is barley b'shem atikunim, as we said earlier in the late Perek Lameds. We said in the name of Tikkun Yisrael, the Shish Sfiron, that the 6 spheres, which are the emotional spheres, Mekanin bi Yitzira, they find their place where? In the world of Yitzira. Shehein derech klal, in general, when you talk about the midas, Shnei Kavin, you have 2 columns. You have Yeminu Smoil, you have the right side and the left side. So you have Lahokel. The idea of being Mekel comes Mesitra de Chesed, from the side of Chesed. The Hainu, which means Lahatir, to be Matir. Sheyuchal lalis al Hashem, that something should be able to be elevated to Hashem. Or Lahachmer Chulu, or to the contrary, to be stringent. So it's interesting, over here, if you talk about, being mekel or being machmer. We talk about Beishamai and Beisilo, so usually we think, who are you being mekel on and who are you being machmer on? So usually you think that if you tell the person that this food is kosher, so you're being mekel, you're being easy on the person. If you tell the person it's not kosher, then you're being machmer, you're being severe and harsh on the person. But Alter Rebbe says something different here. He says that the reason why to be matir is chesed is because you're allowing the food to be elevated. So it's chesed to the food. Whenever the halacha is that a certain entity is kosher or a certain esrog could be used, for example, so it's not about making life easier for the person. It's about actually doing a chesed to that entity of this physical world, that it should be able to, because we know when a yid does a mitzvah with something, or when a yid uses something l'shem shamayim, when it's mutter, and then it can be elevated. And to be machmer means to be harsh and reject it and say, no, sorry, due to issues that you have, you are not worthy of being elevated and elevated to kedusha. The story is told, I don't know if it's a true story or not, but this is a story that's told that there was a woman who once bought a goose to a Rav with a shayla. Today that's, I think Rabbanim are very thankful that it's not a part of the average Rav's day. But back in the day, that was a very normal thing, that women bought geese and chickens, whatever it may be, they brought it to the Rav to show them this issue, that issue, is it kosher, is not kosher. Anyways, the Rav examined the goose, and the Rav says it's kosher. So the lady leaves, and the Rav had some of his Talmidim over there, and he turned to him and say, but Rebbe, the Shach says that it's not kosher. So the Rav says, I'm aware of that Shach. But here's the dilemma that was playing in my head. That after, there are two options. After 120 years, when I go up to heaven, if I paskin that this goose is kosher, so I'll be summoned to Din Torah by the Bezin Shalmaila, by the Shach. And he's going to say, how you talking? I paskin that this isn't kosher. How you talking that you didn't agree with my psak? If, however, I paskin that the goose is treif, the Shach won't have any issue with me, but the goose is going to pull me to Bezin Shalmaila, to Din Torah. They're going to say, how you talking that you didn't allow you to eat me and elevate me to Kedusha? And I thought to myself that it's much more gishmak to have a Din Torah with the Shach than to have a Din Torah with the goose. So that's why I paskin that it's kosher.
What about the money? Cost, you made a treif, it costs you more money. She'll lose money.
That's true. But Alter Rebbe is saying over the primary idea over here is not so much to the person, but it's about the
So in all the worlds, all the entire Torah is in each of the worlds, but it's just that Mishnah or Gemara is what's revealed or what's what. Because right here we said
the Torah as it comes down into the world of Bria appears as a Talmud. That's what in Ilma Bria, that's what they're Isaac in.
That's what
that's what they're involved in.
And in Yetzirah involved the Mishnah.
Yeah.
Okay, and he said over here that the Taimei, which is Taimei Halachas, which is Talmud, right?
Yeah.
Is there? It's meluvash and hidden in there.
Right.
So I guess they're learning Mishnah, but and I guess we'll get to.
So when you realize that when we're learning Gemara, we're learning something that's on the level of the world of Bria. As we know, Achilos, Bria, Shira, and Asiyah are not locations. So it's not as over here. So every time we're learning, as the Torah comes down through the worlds, in the world of Bria, it stops by the Talmud. That's where the world of Bria, and you don't go down to Midas. That's the Eibishter's. So in the world of Bria, they're the only Yosek and Talmud. Then the Torah comes down a further step into the Taimei Halachas, the Mishnah, which, by the way, it's very strange. You think into it that, practically speaking, the Mishnah by us precedes the Gemara. It was written before the Gemara, and Kaviyachol, the Gemara is based on the Mishnah. And here we're saying that in the spiritual world it's the other way around. But the truth is, if you think into it, yes, the Mishnah precedes the Gemara, but what's the Gemara really telling us?
Why you got to that?
The Gemara is really telling us what's behind the Mishnah. That's really what the Gemara is telling us. So it was published at a later date, yes. But the Gemara precedes the Mishnah. To put it in different words, the Tanoim who wrote the Mishnah, they knew the Gemara. They had to know the Gemara. They couldn't have arrived at the Mishnah without knowing the Gemara. So actually, chronologically, although the Mishnah was written first, before the Gemara comes before the Mishnah. Now we learn it backwards. We learn it because we're moving up the ladder. Like we start with Mikra Mishnah, so we learn first the Mishnah, and then we learn the Gemara. But conceptually speaking, the Gemara really precedes the Mishnah, which is because the Gemara is in the world of Bria and the Mishnah is in the world of Yitzira.
But in Bria, I'm sure they got to the.
Sorry, 1 second. What?
But in Bria, I'm sure they got to the halacha.
Why are you saying that?
No, what did they only learn the time halacha?
Yeah. In Bria, that's what the Neshamas are doing. Neshamas and Malachim. The Torah they're learning is time halacha.
And one more side question, like backtrack. This that the Shekhinah is coming down through the Torah into these worlds, so it seems that the worlds already existed. These are only creating the Neshamas and Malachim in the worlds, but the worlds were already created.
I hear your question. The truth is, everything in the world comes from that. Except that in the world, the higher worlds, what do they consist of? Spheres, Neshamas, Malachim. What else are there?
So it's coming down to that level, the level of Bria.
Yeah, and that creates really Bria. How is Bria created? Through the Shekhinah entering the Torah, and from the oir that comes through that is the world of Bria. And from there you have the Neshamas, you have the Malachim, and you have the Torah of Bria. And then you have the world of Yitzira. Sorry, you wanted to ask something?
I was just saying that the Gemara comes to explain the Mishnah. So how is it that the Gemara is coming first?
Because the reason why the Tanoim arrived at whatever they said in the Mishnah is because they knew all the logic that it said in the Gemara. The Gemara is explaining the background. What led to the Tanoim saying this and this? Why did they say this? Why didn't they say that? What was their reasoning? So whatever is written in the Gemara was in the Tanoim's head before they arrived at their actual conclusions, which they wrote in the Mishnah.
But how could you learn Gemara without Mishnah, without learning the Mishnah first? And as far as the practicality,
I didn't advocate that, and the Alter Rebbe isn't advocating that either. He's not saying that's the way you should learn it, but he's saying you should know that when you're learning Mishnah, that's in the level of the world of Yitzira, and when you're learning Talmud, that's in the level of the world of Bria. Now, but just to conclude, what we were saying earlier is that this is a very important idea. Is that when we're using out things in this world, we are as Yidden. We're Pashat walking around all day and doing favors to the water that we're drinking and to the cup that we're using and to the clothing that we're using and everything, provided that it's mutter, because in order for it to be able to be ma'ila, it has to be mutter, as Dr. Rebbe explains in the first few prakim of Tanya, Perek Zayin, Perek Ches. And if Chas v'Shalom we don't use out something properly, that thing is angry at us. Yimim says even to the extent that if a person walks in the street and he's not thinking words of Torah, so the ground that you're walking on is screaming at you. Like, you should know that ever since the world was created, I had walking over me, I had some cats and I had some dogs and I had some cows, and now you walked over me. And in which way are you different than the behemoths that walked over me? You, the animals are one thing. You were supposed to be thinking Torah, or saying words of Torah, and thereby elevating me. And that's our job. Everything we interact with. So, when we say something is mutter, it's a favor to that thing. There's the famous Torah from the Baal Shem Tov, and the pasuk Re'evim gam tzmeim nafsham behem tesatav, which means that literally means you're hungry, you're thirsty. They're hungry and thirsty. Nafsham hem tesatav, their souls are literally they're going out. The Baal Shem Tov says, "Re'evim gam tzemeim." You want to know why you're hungry? You think you're hungry for biological reasons. No, that's not the real reason why you're hungry. The real reason why you're hungry is because in the food that's in your refrigerator. There are some nitzutzes. There are some sparks. And they're calling out to you and they're saying, eat me. And that's what's making you hungry. Nafsham, their soul, the soul of the food, Bahem Tesataf, is calling out and is begging, please come and eat me. And when you go and eat something and it's L'Shem Shamayim, that's what they're waiting for. And if it's not L'Shem Shamayim, it's a lost opportunity, and the main thing is it's part of being mean. It's being mean to the food that. It tells us a little about our responsibility, and that's why koicha dehetera adif. A Rav is supposed to try to be matir. Why? Not because he's trying to be easy on the person. Maybe that also, it's a little Avos Yisrael. The main thing is you want to be matir. More and more things should be able to be Eilul Hashem.
Why does it only have 6 spheres? I thought there's 10 spheres in each world.
There are 6 midas. Of the 10 spheres, 6 of them are Hashem's midas. So Hashem's 6 midas, which, as mentioned earlier, they represent the 6th darim of the Mishnah because everything is precise. So Hashem's 6 midas, they are dominant in the world of Yitzirah.
What's the other 4 spheres? What are the
Chachma, Bina, Das, and Malchus. They're not Chachma, Bina, Das are not emotional. They're intellectual, and Malchus is practical. Malchus is action, speech, and action.
In each world, there's a dominant. There's something. All of them are there.
They're all there. Then there's the dominant
the
ones.
Emphasis or dominant
right.
is in the midas.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Just by way of example, you have a human being and an animal. A human being is primarily, if he's not an animal, is a seichelic being. An animal is a midas, instinctive, impulsive being. A human being has midas, and an animal also has seichel. But nevertheless, the human being, what's dominant in the human being is seichel, and what's dominant in the animal is the midas. And the human being, the midas are supposed to serve the seichel. Again, ideally, in a human being. And in an animal, the seichel is only there to serve the midas. That's an example of how you can have everything there, but the question is, what is the dominant? What is the one that plays the primary role? In the world of Yetzirah, what plays the primary role is Hashem's 6 midas. Okay, inside. V'hakoil, 7 lines in the bottom. V'hakoil, and all of this, in other words, all the midas, and everything in the Mishnah is al pi chachma ilah. All of this, let's not forget. All of this really starts out in the supernal chachma, which is the chachma d'Atzilus. Ubina v'das, and Hashem's bina and das klulis ba also are included in the Torah. Umyichadis be'ein seiv baruch hu, and they're one with the infinite light of Hashem. Why? Ki b'toich kulan, because within all of them, within every single levels of the Torah, mulabashis Chabad Atzilus. Ultimately, what you have in it is the Chabad, the Chachma Bina Das of Atzilus. She'erin Seif Baruch Miyuchad Behen B'Tachlis HaYichud, which the Ein Sof of Hashem is one with the Chachma Bina Das of Hashem, with a complete unity. So on the one hand, within the Mikra, within the Mishnah, within the Talmud, as we have here the Chachma of Hashem, which explains something else, So which one's greater, Talmud or Mikra or Mishnah? So it would seem over here that Talmud is greater.
It's higher up.
So let me ask you a question: the Chumash and the Gemara, which one goes on top of what?
Chumash.
A Chumash. So why? But isn't Talmud higher? The answer is no. They're all Hashem's Chachma. This is Hashem's Chachma, and this is Hashem's Chachma, and this is Hashem's Chachma. The Talmud is Hashem's Chachma as it went down a certain level and it stopped in the world of Bria. Then Hashem's Chachma comes further down into the world of Yitzirah. That's the Mishnah. Comes further down into the world of Asiyah. So what we have in the Chumash is such a powerful light of Hashem that it can come down all the way and express itself in physical words. As opposed to in Talmud, the Hashem's Chachma only expresses itself in the Seichel. In the Mishnah, Hashem's Chachma only expresses itself in Midas. It lowers only a little. The incredible thing about Torah is, about Mikra, is here we have the Chachma of Hashem, which is coming down through all the levels and actually in the words of the Torah. And that's why, of course you put the Chumash on top of the Gemara. Because the words of the Chumash are holy. In the Gemara, it's not really so much the words. It's the Seichel that's holy.
You weren't supposed to write it down.
Right, it's the Seichel in it, that's right, it's Torah Shabbat Peh. Torah shebiksav, the words are holy. Why? Because the Eibishter's Chachma managed to come down all the way to the point that even in empty words, in other words, theoretically words that are devoid of any seichel, there's kedusha. The same way, furthermore, along this way, the Shechina comes down and entered Behechel Kachi Kadashim Dasiya. Right now, again, next level. Now the Torah entered, the Shechina enters the Kodesh Kadashim of Asiya. How is that? Because Malchus of Yetzirah enters the Chabad, which is the Torah, the Kodesh Kadashim of Asiya. And now the Alter Rebbe is going to add something new. The Chol Olam, till now we're talking about the three worlds of Bri, Yitzir, and Asiya. Says the Alter Rebbe, V'chol Olam, Megimel Olam, Eselu. Every one of these three worlds, Mischalik, Lervavis Madrigas, is subdivided. Those are only general worlds. Every single one of them is subdivided into tens of thousands of levels. HaNikra is Gamkin, Olam is Pratim. They're also called individual worlds, more detailed. Atzilus, Bri, Yitzir are more general worlds. Malchus, the Atzilus, Mulubashes, Ben Malchus. The Malchus of Atzilus is in the Malchus, and let's look at the Haggah. But first, outside, it's in the Malchus of every single world. In other words, you have the Shechina. The Shechina's Malchus Datzilus. And in every single world, there's a Malchus, which means the Malchus which gives life to the next world. But within every single world, where is that energy from? What is the source of the energy? Is Malchus Datzilus. Every world creates the world underneath it. In other words, enters the world underneath it. The Malchus of the world enters the Chabad of the world beneath it and gives it its energy. But within every single world, what's there? It's all the energy which is from Malchus Datzilus. Ubezeh Yuvan. And now says Dr. Rebbe, now we understand Lashon HaKos of that which the Pasuk says in Ashrei, Malchuscha, Malchus Kol Eilamim. What's the double Lashon over here? Malchuscha, Malchus Kol Eilamim. Malchuscha, your Malchus, which is Malchus Datzilus, which is Shechina, is Malchus Kol Eilamim, enters the Malchus which is within every single world. So every single world, the Malchus which gives energy to the following world, all of it is drawing a Malchuscha and the Malchus in the world of Atzilus. So again, Malchus Datzilus Mulabashes Malchus Shal Kol Eilam Prati. The Malchus of Atzilus is within the Malchus of every single individual world. And you read this, and then it goes down to Mishlabashes Behechel Kodesh Kadashim. The Malchus every world goes down and enters the Hechel Kodesh Kadashim Shu Chabad Sheba Eilam Shlamata Men Madrega of the Chabad of the world which is beneath it. V'hinei Mashchina Mulabashes Behechel Kodesh Kadashim Shakol Eilam from the Shechina, which is within the Hechel, the Kodesh Kadashim of every world. Klali Prati, whether you're talking about the general worlds, which are Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya, or the particular worlds. So Nimshach and Mispashah Mimena V'chayis, from there comes the light and the life. V'chala Eilamis of Habrum Shabbai. The Shechina gives the light to the entire world and all the creations that are in it, Neshamis Malachim B'chulum, which are the Neshamis and the Malachim. Ki Kulam Nivru Basar Ma'amaris B'Maser. But it says everything, as we know, everything was created with Asar Ma'amaris, which is mentioned in Bereshis. Shehem Dvar Hashem. What is the Asar Ma'amaris? That is the words of Hashem. Hanikra B'Shem Shechina, which is one and the same B'Shechina. Shechina is Hashem's words, Asar Ma'amaris. So ultimately, the Asar Ma'amaris, which are in Bereshis, which is Malchus Datzilus, is ultimately every single creation, every single world comes from the Asar Ma'amaris through the process of Malchuscha, Malchus Kol Eilamim. Not everything comes directly from the Asar Ma'amaris. The Asar Ma'amaris are Malchuscha, but because the Malchuscha, because the energy of Malchus Datzilus enters the Malchus of every single world on its level, so therefore ultimately everything is sourced in the Asar Ma'amaris. So, we finished Perek Nun Beis. One Perek left to Tanya. And today's Lag Boimer. So here we're talking here about the three worlds and the Torah which is within each of the three worlds. So in the Torah, so you have Talmud and Mikra and Mishnah, but as we all know, that there's a fourth world, the world of Atzilus. And the fourth world corresponds to to the fourth level of Torah. You have Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Soid. So the fourth level corresponds to Soid, which is Kabbalah. So Kabbalah is in the world of Atzilus, which, to give you a concept, Alter Rebbe doesn't even talk about that over here, which means that Kabbalah is the Chochmah of Hashem, which has not even entered the worlds. The Talmud at least somewhat enters, because it becomes intellectual, it becomes comprehensible. And for all of those of you who have been sitting here by Tanya Shiurim for a long time and scratching your heads and saying, I don't really understand this and I don't get it, and it's not like pulling out a Gemara and learning a Arvi Psachim or anything of that sort, there's a reason why. The reason why is because ultimately the Talmud enters the Bina. It's all about comprehension. And Kabbalah, as the name implies, what does the name Kabbalah mean? It's something which we accept, as opposed to something which we say we can fully grasp or understand, because we're dealing with concepts which are really beyond us, but Makabel, which is like Chachma. What is Chachma? Chachma is the power of receptivity. In fact, I was learning this Sapiric, I was thinking that we're saying over here that there are three general worlds, and then within every world there are tens of thousands, Alter Rebbe says, tens of thousands of individual worlds. Now, let's back up for a second. Why are there four worlds? Why not 5? Why not 8? Why not 20? By now we should have an inkling of the answer. Why are there four worlds? Because everything comes from Torah, and since there's Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Soid, so therefore there are four worlds. The worlds evolve from Torah. By that we already understand that by now. The world of Bria, where does it come from? It comes from the Talmud. The world of Yetzirah comes from the Mishnah. The world of Asiyah comes from the Mikra, because all the energy it gets is filtered from the Shekhinah through that. So the reason why there are four worlds is because there are four Madrigas in Torah. Comes along Alter Rebbe and says that in each world there are tens of thousands of different smaller worlds, and perhaps that's associated with the idea which we know that within Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Soid. So first of all, there's Shivim Panim La Torah. So there are 70 ways to learn Torah, but even more than that, it's brought down in Sfarim that there are 600,000 ways to understand. Every idea in Torah can be understood in 600,000 ways according to Soid, 600,000 ways according to Remez, 600,000 ways according to Drush, and 600,000 ways according to Pshat. In other words, there are 2.4 million ways to understand every single idea in Torah. And once you understand that, you realize that as many Sfarim as are on the wall over here, you can still go write many, many more, because that's only capturing a small amount of the ideas that are in Torah, because Torah be'emes is infinite. So perhaps that's connected, that the reason why there's so many levels in every world, these individuals, perhaps each one of these smaller worlds, local worlds, correspond to one of the madrigas in understanding Torah, because ultimately every world comes from Torah. So if there's a new way of understanding Torah, that's a new world. So in Pshat, which is, let's say, that's the world of Asiyah. So as many madrigas in Pshat that there are, many levels there are in Pshat, that's how many worlds there are. Perhaps that's a correlation between the Alter Rebbe saying here about the tens of thousands of worlds that of Ilamis Pratim, individual worlds, detailed worlds, which are the general worlds. Now, and we're here on Lag Baimer, and obviously it's the yard site of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And what was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's? What was his claim to fame? Was that he wrote the Zohar. And the Zohar is the first mass revelation of Kabbalah. It was never revealed before.
Even to Moshe Rabbeinu?
No. It was never revealed in a...
To the common man.
The Arizal also didn't reveal it to the common man. The Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai didn't reveal it to the common man, but he revealed it to his Talmidim, and it was he taught it to his Talmidim. Whereas before then it was mamish, like the Yochid, one person in a generation, two people. Yeah. And ultimately, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he taught it, and not only that, by writing the Zohar, he made it accessible to the common man. And today, ultimately, he's the one who taught us all Kabbalah. And what we're talking about over here today, we're talking about the Tikkunei Zohar. That from the source in Tikkunei Zohar, about this idea of the different spheres, that's all from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So he revealed the Kabbalah. So here in this, once we learn this Perek and we understand a little about Mikra and Mishnah and Talmud and how great they all are. And all of them are ultimately rooted in Hashem's Chachma. But they're Hashem's Chachma as they already enter the realm of creation and they become relatable. They enter creation on its terms. What do you mean the terms of creation? What are our terms? Our terms are we can relate to something intellectually. As human beings, right? As creations, we can relate to something intellectually. We can relate to something emotionally. Or we can relate to something tactily, if that's the word. In other words, practically, through actions. So the Torah comes down so that we can relate to it. So Torah enters the intellectual realm so that we can relate to it intellectually. That's the Talmud. Then the Torah enters the emotional realm so that us creations can relate to it emotionally. Then the Torah comes down even further, and that even a 2-year-old can read, says Torah Tzivalana Moshe, and thereby grasps Hashem's wisdom, because Hashem's wisdom has come down to the point, and it's fully there, by the way, but it's totally dressed up in this garment of Mikra. And then you have Kabbalah. And what is Kabbalah? Kabbalah never left Atzilus.
So how do we access it?
How much do you access it, Taka?
Very little.
Okay. No, I'm saying it. Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is a study that, as much as you learn it, you ask yourself, "Did I really access it?" That's the point. Because it's a much purer level of Elokus. Although again, the whole Torah is godly, and the Chachma of the Eibush is in every single word of Torah, and every idea on Torah Sheba'al and every physical word on Torah Shebiksav. But it's Hashem's Chachma as it entered our realm and our sphere. And then you have Kabbalah, which is and that was the gift of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, that he was such a holy tzaddik. It's brought on, the Alter Rebbe says, it's brought on the name of the Alter Rebbe. The Rebbe said that there are certain great tzaddikim like Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, who for them the Beis Hamikdash was never destroyed. They don't experience galus. Because Shimon Bar Yochai was, what is the idea of galus? The idea of galus is Halem, Vehester, and Tzimtzum. And for Rav Shimon Bar Yochai there was no Tzimtzum at all. There was no Tzimtzum, and therefore he was on the level of Atzilus, and he was able to teach, to bring down this level of Torah, but not really bring it down. As it's in this world, it's still beyond the world. And when we learn it, we're connecting to that madriga. And that's the greatness, the light, the fire, the illumination of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai on Lag BaOmer.
But in reality, it comes from, it went down through all, it was mitzamsim, it came down to this world.
No, it didn't.
So how did he access it?
Because he wasn't in this world.
What, I mean, it was in the
No.
though.
You're confusing worlds as spatial with spatial entities, and it's a geography. It's elsewhere. He when he was here, he was in Atzilus. Atzilus is a level. Atzilus is a level. It's a state of being. State of being. A state of connection to Hashem. He was in the world of Atzilus. Neshamis, big tzaddikim, they are in Atzilus. Even when they're here in this world, their level of Veikus of Hashem is on that level. And he was able to be mashpiyat and give it to everyone. And that was his godless. There's a story that ever brings down. There's a medrash that says, with a story, that there was once one of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's students went off, traveled away, and entered the business world and became wealthy. And then one day he comes back, and the rest of the students see that their friend became wealthy, and Chol Shadaitam, they all were like, we wouldn't mind being wealthy also. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai took them to a bika. He took them to a valley, which according to one medrash was the valley of Miron, right where he's buried. If anyone has ever been in Miron over here, you know the valleys of I lived in Tzfas for a little while. Tzfas is on one mountain, and Miron is on another mountain, and in between there's a huge valley. So Reb Shimon took his students to the valley, and he caused that the whole valley became filled with gold coins. So the Medrash says, and he told the students, "You guys want money? Go take money, but you should know that whatever you take is coming off your cheshbon elam haba." That's what he told them. So the students didn't take anything. That's what the Medrash says. And then the Medrash continues and says another story. There's a Tanya whose name, there's an Amoira, his name was Rav Shimon ben Chalafta. And this Rav Shimon ben Chalafta, he was terribly poor. And one day he davened to Hashem, he said, I want money. And from heaven he was given something golden. In other words, he was given something. And he went out and he bought some stuff for the house with it. And he comes home and his wife says, what's this all about? I know we don't have any money. And he told his wife that, he told him, I davened and I was given from heaven. I was given some wealth. I think he was given a, if I remember correctly the story, a foot of a table, a golden, what? Golden leg of a table, right. So she told her what's going to happen is that in Gan Eden everyone's going to be sitting on tables with 4 legs and we're going to be sitting on a table with 3 legs. Go give it back. So he went, he returned the items, got back to the golden leg, and he davened, and it was taken back from heaven. And over there, the Medrash says that this is a greater feat. Why? Because in heaven, from heaven, they take, they give, we don't take. They give, so therefore, the fact that he filled up the whole valley with gold coins, that's nice. But a bigger feat is the fact that that it was taken back. So the Rebbe asked a Pashto question. What happened to all the gold coins in that valley? You know, there's the gold rush in California in the 1840s. Maybe we should all go to to the valley of Miran and start digging for those gold coins. So there's obviously it was taken back by heaven, because otherwise people would have found the gold coins and that would have been a very, very huge story, a valley full of gold coins. So it was taken back. So why are they making a bigger deal of the fact by Shimon Chalafta than it was that by him it was taken back, and by Shimon Bar Yochai also was taken back? So the Rebbe explains, and without going into the whole arichas, the Rebbe says like this: By Shimon Bar Yochai, his greatness was that he was able to bring down gold coins from heaven, not only for himself, but for all of his students, and even those students who weren't worthy of it. And the students who, they were busy being jealous. Of course, they was also taken back, but that's not the point that the Medrash is trying to say about Shimon Bar Yochai. What was Shimon Bar Yochai's greatness? That he was able to bring down the gold coins and give it to everyone, even those who weren't worthy of it. Right? We don't find that with Shimon Chalafta. Shimon Chalafta got gold for himself. Shimon Bar Yochai was able to bring gold not only for himself, but for everyone. And that corresponds to this idea of Kabbalah. Shimon Bar Yochai was able to bring the gold, which is Kabbalah, the highest madregas in Torah, but not only for himself, and not only for the people on a very high madrega, but he's also able to bring it for me and for you, and bring the gold coins for everyone. But we can use these gold coins and not have to worry that it's going to deduct anything from the Olam Haba. And have a good Shabbos, everyone.